everyone, this is Peak Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video review, and this will be a review of The Creator. Released largely worldwide on Friday the 29th of September 2023, it stars John David Washington, Gemma, Ken Watanabe, Alison, Jainey, Madeleine Univoyles, and it was directed by Gareth Edwards. Now the story of The Creator is set within the future, where the world has discovered and learned to be completely reliant on AI. We see robotic and cybernetic beings become far more active in society, whether it be in advancement or police enforcement. Now things change suddenly in 2055 when Los Angeles comes under a nuclear attack, for which is blamed on AI. The US government proceeds to shut down all AI within the world. The only country that rejects this initiative is Asia, who keeps all of these AI beings in refuge. Unhappy with this stance, the US forces proceed to take out any nation that aligns itself with AI. 10 years later, we see Agent Joshua Taylor working undercover in Asia, looking for the creator of the AI forces. During this operation, he has married his wife Maya, and they are expecting a baby. This all changes when one night his home comes under attack by military forces who are looking for the creator. And despite trying to warn off the US forces, Joshua's home and village is assaulted by the massive sky weapon known as the Nomad, and he ends up losing both his wife and child. 5 years later, still traumatized by their death, Joshua is offered a deal from the US government, where if he helps them locate the creator and destroy the weapon that they've been designing to combat the Nomad. In return, the US government tell Joshua that Maya is still alive and that they will make sure that she is saved from any future assaults against the AI forces. During the assignment, Joshua discovers the AI weapon in the form of a young 6-year-old child. Instead of handing her over to the US forces, Joshua decides to go on the run with her, believing that she can find out where Maya is. As the story progresses, Joshua discovers the true secrets of the nuclear attack 10 years ago, and the young girl, who he has named as wfie, carries a secret power that can end up saving all of the AI forces within Asia. Now overall, I'd say as a movie, The Creator is a solid effort that's well crafted and nicely paced for at least 2/3 of the way through. The film does suffer from some flaws in terms of its narrative and the logic that follows it, and also from offering big concepts and ideas in its subject matter, but never really truly following through. And there also is a certain heavy-handedness with too many obvious cliches in terms of its characterization. Now going into this movie, there was a lot of hype and anticipation, more through social media rather than the general audience, as The Creator is an original, big budget, serious science fiction that's not based on any IP or sequels. And in the current era of sequels, reboots and remakes, something like The Creator will always be supported, which I completely understand and to a degree share the same position. There's been such a big push for this movie to be a shift in the Hollywood industry, a real game changer of how big blockbuster movies are made, but when you really watch it, the movie is anything but original, and instead it's a massive hybrid of science fiction movies that we've seen before. Literally from the opening narration to the climax, there are clear vibes of everything from the Terminator, District 9, Avatar, Chappie, Elysium, Ex Machina, Artificial Intelligence, which was directed by Spielberg, and there's probably 10 or 15 other science fiction movies that this movie is riffing off as well that I simply don't have the time to go through. But there are also overtones of a war movie, very much in the spirit of all of the Hollywood Vietnam films that we saw from the 70s and 80s. And this is where I took issue, as where we concentrate on the main setup of the US forces wanting to retaliate on the Asian forces for harbouring technology. This is an absolute clear allegory of the Hiroshima bombings and incidents during the World War. The sequences where the AI forces in their developed and stripped down villages are being infiltrated by the US forces with superior firepower and numbers is also a clear allegory of the Vietnam War. And it's so obvious and extremely cliche, and dare I say perhaps thoughtless. We have all of the familiar stereotypes of the more honourable, benign, yet victimised Asian communities being attacked by the unrelenting gung-ho white Americans who just want to blow everything up and kill everything without any reason, no scope for negotiation or coalition or appeasement. They just want to charge in there and destroy everything with their doomsday device lingering in the sky. And to see these kind of tropes reused in this supposedly original sci-fi film is just ironically disappointing. Now when we focus on the wfie character, for where we get the typical special power ability from the child that is the key to the future, the key to everything, Again, we've seen this so many times, whether it be from Ex Machina, as mentioned before, or from Star Wars or The Matrix. Again, just all too familiar and predictable. I was also never really convinced in a relationship between Joshua and Alfie, which is clearly intended to provide the emotional weight to the story. But it really is more of a relationship out of convenience and necessity. Joshua, throughout the entire movie, is really just interested in finding his wife, while Alfie really just goes to Joshua as he's the only person that has his interest in terms of protecting him. So despite all of the big moments between these characters, especially towards the end, where the movie really strives for this big emotional impact, it still feels empty because the bond really hasn't been developed enough between these two characters. We then talk about the whole idea and essence of AI, and in this movie, it does go against normal convention by having the AI be the weaker force or the opposition in terms of the conflict, which whilst is different, it doesn't really make sense, when the whole concern of AI is that it can easily take over the technology that humans are so reliant on. So it just doesn't feel logical when we see the AI robots hiding away in these small villages, unable to combat the technology that's being used against them. Why doesn't AI really care what it looks like? Surely an AI cares more about assimilating and dominating the technology and the overall world that it exists in. So these are all questions that the movie, after all, kind of does away with, and it becomes much more of a straightforward action, on the run chase type of film. But for all of the faults, there's still plenty to be commended throughout this movie. Now visually it looks absolutely great. It's been noted by many people the comparatively low budget of 85 million, and you never notice any obvious green screen or dodgy CGI. It looks real, it looks physical, and for the most part it looks pretty much flawless. And yes, this is a lesson, especially in a year where we've seen these huge, ridiculous, over-budgeted movies underperforming at the box office. Hans Zimmer's musical score is the usual epic orchestra of horns and synths, and again just adds those little emotional beats and tones to the scenes, especially when we come towards the climax. Now in terms of the performances, all of the actors here are absolutely fine. John David Washington is good, and yet another selfish, conflicted protagonist role, similar to the character that we saw him playing in Tenet. Madeleine Unifols does elicit some nice sweet-natured moments and endearing charm in her role as Alfie. So there's nothing really bad here in terms of the overall movie's construct. The aesthetic, the acting, the musical score, the editing, the cinematography is all absolutely fine. But for all of the hype about this being the potential game-changing science fiction genre movie, waving in a huge wave of original content, veering us away from sequels and reboots and remakes, it's sad to say that the creator isn't that movie overall. So those are my overall thoughts and feelings and review of the creator. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any other movies or television series or any other topics of discussion that you'd like to see me cover within the channel, then let me know within the comments and I will see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please also hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more high quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.